Okay, so let's do the second part of your midterm examples. Go back to the same file. Let's look at the Venn diagrams portion. The bottom two examples, C and D, are going to be for Venn diagrams. Remember, the truth tables are used for traditional looking arguments. You read your book. If you read your book, then you will do well in class. If you do well in class, then you will get a good grade. Therefore, you'll get a good grade. The Venn diagrams are used when we talk about classes of things. All penguins are birds. Willie is a penguin, therefore Willie is a bird. Right? That's what the predicate calculus is all about here. In this case, we're going to look at example D. Some boys are young. Some girls are young. Therefore, some boys are girls. Right? You can kind of tell already that this is an invalid argument, but what I want you to look at is this. It's talking about classes of things. The boys, right? Some out of the group of boys are young. Some out of the group of girls are young, right? And so how do all these groups overlap is what we're going to look at in a Venn diagram. Now, I want to show a couple things before I get going. This is kind of an incomplete form here. I'm going to have a better document online for you, but let's look at it for right now. Again, I need you to insert a symbol on these sum arguments. Uses the existential qualifier. You're going to go to insert symbol and select the symbol font again. Select that backwards E. Insert it. And in each of these cases, then, the existential qualifier is used to mark that it's not all things. The X is a universal quantifier. The existential quantifier is a particular instantiation. Some boys are, change this, young. Some girls are young. Therefore, some boys are girls. Okay? So I'm going to close that window up. The other way to do symbols, if you don't have this in your word processor, go to the Start menu, click All Programs, go up to Accessories again, and to System Tools and Character Map. Same looking thing is going to show up. You select the font symbol, and then it gives you all the same symbols again, stuff including the conclusion sign. If you scroll down, there are some arrows. See if I can find them now. I know they're there because I've used them. Okay, I've lost it, but in the symbol font, there they are. There's the backwards arrow. There's the biconditional. There's the conditional arrow. And you can use all these. And once you do use them in the insert menu, when you go to insert symbol, they'll usually show up in the most recently used symbols, right? There's the existential quantifier, there's the arrow, there's the conclusion. So you can use all these symbols for yourself. You can see in this case, I use the keystrokes, the dash and the greater than sign. If you want, and I kind of like you get used to this, use the symbol, insert the symbols whenever you can, right? If you get used to inserting them, it should kind of standardize things for everybody. The one font that's been giving everybody trouble is the Calibri font. Calibri font. A lot of people have been using it, and it seems to be causing troubles with all of this. So if you would, try and avoid using that one. See if it helps streamline some of this. Okay, so now what we need to do is create a Venn diagram. Right? Again, go to Accessories, select the Paint program. This time I'm going to have you draw it from scratch. There are three classes, boys, girls, and young things, so we need 3 circles. So you click on the circle drawing tool, just click and drag, create a circle. Then you click and drag, create a second circle so they overlap, and then click and drag a third circle so that all 3 overlap, right? So this looks familiar. I need you to create a text box then for each one. This is going to be the boy box. This is going to be the girl box. And this is going to be the young things box. You can do it in any order, it just really doesn't matter. That's for you to decide. Now what we need to do is start looking at how all these things are plotted in the premises, right? Some boys are young. So we know that there are boys in this ring. The whole ring counts. Boys overlaps both girls and young things. And then the circle Y overlaps both the other circles. So there are going to be some boys which are young, which would be in this region and also in this region. So there are 2 possible places. So again, we'll draw a text box. I'm going to do it outside of the circle, and I'll show you why. If you do it inside the regions, you might end up accidentally covering over the lines in the circle, and that kind of messes everything up. So what I want you to do is draw the text box out here, and then you can cut around it with the selection tool and then move it into place. Some boys are young. There's also another place where some boys are young, so we'll create another X, cut it, and move it into that region. So now we have two possible places where boys can be Y things. Some boys are young here, some boys are young here. Now, we also have the next premise, some girls are young. So some girls can be young here, where G overlaps with Y. Some girls can be young here already. This one's been already laid out, so we don't need to do that. We need to add an X here. So again, a text box. Just going to do it out here. X just marks any possible case, any possible girl that might be in existence, and we'll move it into the other zone here. So now we've got all the premises plotted. Some boys are young in either of these places. Some girls are young in either of these places. Now the conclusion says some boys are girls. If you try and read the conclusion from the premises, it doesn't follow for this reason. There are some boys which are young here. There are some boys which are young here. It could be in either place. We don't know for sure. There are some girls which are young here. There are some girls which are young here. It could be either place. We don't know. So when we try and read the conclusion, some boys are girls, there's only one zone right here where the boys and girls overlap, and that we've already plotted one of the premises. Now, it could be that some boys and some girls both exist in this region, but we don't know that for sure because they could both exist out here and out here, in which case there would be no boys and girls, right? But it's ambiguous. That's the main problem with all of this. It's hard to tell just from the way that the diagram goes. So what you do now is select the whole picture that you've just drawn. Wow, this isn't cooperating with me right now. Select the picture. Yes, there we go. And go to Edit, click Copy. Right, let's close this window down. Go back to the example document that we've already been looking for. Right click, paste. That should insert that diagram we just did, the Venn diagram, as a picture. Now what you can do with this picture then is just shrink it down till it's, you know, a smaller size. It doesn't matter as long as it's still visible. We can still see it. We can see all the parts and the labels and things. It's all good, and it's clearly not a valid form. So what we need to do then is give a description. The boys, or some boys, I should say, may not be girls. Right? It's hard telling from where the premises are plotted. The premises are vague, so the argument is inconclusive, right? That's invalid. So, you know, that's one of the cases that people have been having trouble with, how to plot out these kinds of statements. So the other one was pretty clear, where you shade in the zone and then mark the individual in the zone and things. You know how to do that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You have a week and a half for the midterm. You can email me at any point. Just don't wait till the last minute. You need to make sure that you understand these things and you can get them done, because you're only going to have one shot. There's not going to be a revision. So these are all drawn from your exercises from before. So this should all look pretty familiar. Now, the directions are going to be specific. There are going to be several steps, and so when you download the file for the midterm, just follow the directions, look at the examples, look at your homework, and hopefully you'll be able to draw on that experience. Otherwise, you know, I'll have a forum open so you can ask each other for help. You can ask me for help specifically with an email. Good luck, and I'll hear from you soon.